Ballantyne, and that was the umpire you heard talking about being warned each and every week. He was talking of that pair.
Sandilands and Renouf in the ruck. Renouf with a perfect palm down, broad bent, Boak, McCarthy, so they get the early takeaway, Port Adelaide. Back to Boak, and they'll get the first inside 50 in Butcher's direction. McFarlane with him, knocked it down. Phillips tackled over the boundary, ball in.
Well, they'll be very happy with that start, Port Adelaide. They haven't been able to win clearances and contested balls, so that was a good effort by them, and got an early forwarded 50 entry.
Renouf is a premiership ruckman. Sandilands, Renouf gets front spot again. Duffield, well, he got there early and got there hard. That was a tough battle. Ibbotson, Sandilands, well worked. Kick not so good.
That was a poor kick. And interested in your thoughts on Adelaide Carlisle, who I know is working more and more on building his endurance and has had a pretty fair season, but Pav has already taken him up the ground. He's taken him up to the back flank, back to half forward. He's run a kilometre already out of Paddy. I wonder how many he's got left.
Hartlett to Boak, Logan, Jacobs. The captain, Dom Cassisi, squeezes a little too wide for Stewart. Bounced unkindly for most of them. Butcher back to Stewart. Hacks it towards goal. Difficult angle. And it stays in the field of play, amazingly enough. Hill drives it outside 50. Little nudge to the back. Ballantyne gets away with it. And now they both jump on it. The umpire stalking them. And he says ball. Fremantle free. Advantage played. Pavlich beaten for it this time by Carlisle, but that'll be a good one-on-one. Hartlett jumps in.
Well, you can't tag everybody, but I reckon that one of the rules coming into a game against the Dockers is you must tag Stephen Hill. Now, Surgeon's gone to Ballantyne, so he's their priority, and Hill he's let loose.
He's on his own.
Hello.
And on cue, gets the possession.
Picnic
Pierce,
time.
who's been getting plenty of it. Broughton, little nudge to the back of McPhee. It works. Pavlich heads wide, one forward flank with the other. Ballantyne with the one hand. Good sign early.
Okay.
Clark, 50 from goal. Sandilands running back to the square. He heads in the Sandilands direction. Mzungu waiting for the crumb. Gathers, kicks, post.
There could be a bit of a shootout there with Hill and Hartlett. And in the midfield, Crowley's gone to Boak as well.
And there he is, Hill, free. Broke a tackle. That was probably the most disappointing thing. He should have been buried then.
Chaplin, the outer side, over the head of Butcher, and that's out of play on the full. Free kick.
John, push up, John, back here.
McFarlane gets it. Broughton wanted it.
Hard inside, play on.
McFarlane sets it up, top of the square. Clark's down there, Main down there, and Trengove beats them both.
Well, nice grab from Trengove, who was very vocal in his support of the coach during the week. He was very vocal pre-season in, I guess, pushing up the pluses for the club, and mainly he was very, I guess, demonstrative in signing long-term with the club.
Yeah, he's a goer, he's a leader, he's a future very good footballer, and Benny Jacobs there needed to go at that ball, not wait for it to come to him.
Sandilands with the flick back, dangerous. Ibbotson tried to wear some magic. Roden gets a trip. So already David Roden on, having started on the bench. Chaplin.
That was a smart move. He went wide to allow the third player to run even further, and Ebert picks up a nice, well-earned kick.
Brad Ebert. Stewart. Backtracks Paul Stewart to half-back. He's got Renouf in the middle because Sandilands zoning off him. And Trengove takes off down the corridor. Hartlett.
That's the sort of movement we're going to have to see a lot of from Port Adelaide if they're going to be successful here today. Really hard running off half-back, taking a risk.
Cassisi in the west-off direction, got a kick on the ball, rolling towards the pocket, and that'll do Port Adelaide.
Jared, you mentioned that, and that's what Port Adelaide haven't done. They haven't taken risks across half-back. They need to take them on. They need to play on. Otherwise, the ball will not get down to the forwards in a one-on-one battle.
Perfect spot for a ball in. Sandilands with the quick palm down, going nowhere. So now a perfect spot for a ball up for Port Adelaide.
I think it's very much a confidence issue, Jared. When you do that sometimes, if you turn the ball over, the ball goes straight back down over your head. You won't do it next time, but they've got to continue to run if they're going to have any chance, Port.
Renouf slaps it down, but to Duffield. The Barlow pushed in the back as he kicked that. And the umpire let him off. It'll be a free kick, Port Adelaide. And it'll be taken by Butcher. They do often allow the nudge to the buttock, but not the lower back.
Just important for Port Adelaide to get something here. It's a 13-side 50. You need to put scoreboard pressure on.
He's kicked 8 goals straight this year, John Butcher. And he's now got 9 straight. That is amazing from there.
Yeah, well, they come into the competition in the side with a big question mark over his kicking, but hasn't probably got the best technique, but he gets the job done. And he's very good in contested marks. He's hard to match up on. He's very quick, and he puts a lot of pressure on defensively in the forward 50. So he's been a fantastic find for the Port Adelaide Football Club, and that is why they need to get the ball down to him so that he can kick a bag of goals for them. So well done, Johnny Butcher.
Well, that is just great dexterity, Dwayne. You said he was one of the dead-eyed dicks of the competition on the plane coming over, and he must have heard you, and he's proven it.
In that pocket, and they silenced the crowd early, Port Adelaide. Barlow jumps in. Another ball up. Fremantle could be just one win away from top spot tonight with a victory, so a big game for Ross Lyon. And for Matthew Primus, it's essentially an elimination final for Port Adelaide. They lose this, they drop off from being among the teams that are still in contention for the finals. That's a push in the back of sorts. Umpire saw it. Free kick, Port. Aaron Young. Trengove. Inboard. McCarthy. Butcher calls for it long. Roden was the man on the spot. He could go for goal from there, and he knows it. Sized them up from 55. Tried a dainty pass, didn't come off. Broughton, McPhee, under siege right now, Fremantle. The crowd a little pensive, as the players are at the moment, not enjoying this.
Oh, that's a poor kick.
Heads out wide. Surgeon tried to slap down. Stewart, Main, stole it from them, turned it over. Cassisi shrugs the tackle. Logan to Stewart, tucked into that pocket. Across the face, but a centering ball to Butcher, and outreached in the end. Good mark to Johnson.
That's a great mark, Dwayne. And Fremantle really, they need to get themselves cracking here. They're coming off a pretty ordinary game last week. That's 50 metres too. That is done.
Corns just off the bench.
Not like him.
No.
Usually very controlled, very disciplined. But that is a get out of jail card already played.
Did he think it was play on, or?
Must have thought something.
Crowley. And long to the square. There's no one home, and he might go all the way. There's the fire starter for Fremantle.
Well, that was a 60-metre drop punt there, Jared. He's tagging Travis Boak today. He's got the big job, and there's a fair breeze blowing today. He just put that up, and the wind did the work, and a beautiful kick. He can kick goals, Brian Crowley. Have a look at that one from 60 metres.
That's part of his armoury as a tight tagger. He does get forward like all the great taggers and kick goals, and all of a sudden Travis Boak, well, he's just thinking now I've got to do double efforts just to break even.
When he's letting him know about it as well, isn't he? Like a good tagger does.
Poor thing for Port Adelaide, it was the mistake by Kane Corns first to give the 50-metre penalty. But Fremantle were just able to transfer the play across the centre wing with ease. Port's defensive setup was quite poor.
Daniel Stewart now in the ruck. Against him, Clark down to Roden. Clearance, Ebert, Slick to Young. Wanted to go inboard. Wobbly pass, linked for McCarthy, cut off by Dawson to Johnson. Put McFarlane under pressure. Dumped. Young gets it back again. Corns trying to make amends, and he does to Broadbent.
Well, that was a really interesting move by Broadbent. I watched him. He was guarding Mundy from the stoppage, and as soon as the ball went his way, he charged. It was really good, unselfish running. Charged deep into the forward line. Almost pushed up to the square and then came back and dropped into space. And David Mundy, he just wasn't paying enough attention to him.
Give Port Adelaide the lead back from just inside 50. Strikes it okay and squeezed it in. Port Adelaide lively early.
Yeah, he's a good kid, Matty Broadbent. He can he just hasn't been able to get enough of the ball this year. That's probably his criticism, but he's a very smart player. He's tough and hard, and is a beautiful kick. And as Jared said, some good hard running forward, and created this goal. Might have the run with job with Mundy today, so anytime you can run forward and hurt them and make them accountable, that's a very good thing.
Crowd a little stunned here. Some still finding their seats at Patersons Stadium. Sandlands back into the middle and punches straight down to Mundy. Bouncing ball, a chaos ball inside 50. Main slapped it out to Clark. Couldn't quite pluck it on the run. Chaplin takes it to the line under pressure. Not sure if you heard that explanation from the umpires at home, but umpires said it was a genuine contest. Sandlands. Mundy. Caught. Roden. Left it behind. Barlow. McCarthy. Umpire lets it go quite a while, as they have been doing this year. Ball up.
A lot of numbers around the ball today. They're really pushing up. There's going to be a lot of stoppages that are pretty contested.
It was Dylan Robertson, the sub for Fremantle, doing some early stretches, but you wouldn't think he's thinking of coming on this early. Dawson, out of side. Big ball to win. Half a handball. Duffield, he turns it over. Young. Caught. Gang tackle. He ducked into that, so the umpire doesn't play high. Stewart through some traffic, pokes it up. Butcher, the leaper, can't get a run at it. McFarlane, safe hands.
And you can see that ball just sit up in the air, Roo. There's a bit of wind out there favouring the end to which Freo are travelling at the moment.
Yeah, very strong, actually.
Broughton to Clancy Pearce. Coming off a 29 possession game last week, Clancy Pearce, the most for Fremantle, so he's in good form. Clark. Carlisle's fist straight to Barlow. It took a long time to dispose of it. Illegal disposal according to the umpire. If you called it a tackle, if you called it a bump, that was a bad decision.
Yeah, they don't always pay that one, but he did have plenty of time, but it was unaware of Travis Boak.
Still have to tackle, though, to get holding the ball.
Moving on, Travis. Play on. Play on.
Travis told to get going. Touched. Butcher on the run. Bang. Broughton threw that away. Umpire heard the crowd noise.
That was a great free kick to the Dockers crowd.
Well, they're under some pressure, the WA umpires over here, Jared, for hometown decisions, and there's a couple of them out there today.
It was the right decision, but I looked at the umpire. Until the roar went up, he wasn't paying it.
Took him a while, didn't it?
It was a good call by the Dockers crowd.
Okay, Dean Margetts, the umpire there. There's Dean Margetts and Jeff Dalgleish, the WA boys today, and one Victorian umpire. Duffield short, off some hands. Broadbent, McCarthy, caught. Ballantyne couldn't wrap his arm up. Westhoff, long to the square, gets plenty of toe on it, and Stewart could have let it run, kicks it over his head, scissor kick style, and Port Adelaide have their third.
Yeah, he did the right thing there, Stewart. He went for the grab. If you're in doubt, go and catch it, because you don't want to get caught in no man's land, and he nearly made a mistake, but it's good work here by McCarthy, got free, and Westhoff saw that Stewart had a metre or two on his opponent, put it out in front, and Paul Stewart didn't kick too many goals. He'd be wrapped with that one, and good start here by Port Adelaide. 3 goals early into this first quarter.
Certainly a good start by Port Adelaide. What is evident when they going into their forward line, they're kicking to the top of the square. So a long kicking game here, trying to catch the Fremantle defenders out. So good pressure by Port.
Yeah, and they've pushed Pav into the middle. I mean, they need to fire up here. They're flat as anything. It's struggled to get across the line against the Suns. They don't want to drop this one.
Well, they won't get the clearance, Fremantle. Too high. Free kick to Ebert. They were flat last week, Fremantle, and lucky to get away with that game. Jacobs. Young gets there and shrugs McPhee. Flicks it over the top to Phillips. He left it behind. Stewart, McPhee, Mzungu, Duffield all in there. Duffield dragged down. all up.
Really like the work of Aaron Young, and just on that contest he turned McPhee, but a couple of one-on-ones in the start of this game. He certainly put his head over the ball for a young player, setting the scene for his teammates.
Yeah, he's the player that Port Adelaide got as part of the compensation for Nathan Cracker moving. And Nathan Cracker, of course, didn't last in the AFL system long at the Gold Coast.
I think one of the keys when you've got a spare is to get the right bloke a spare. At the moment, out of Paddy Carlisle's a spare. He's the wrong bloke. He doesn't cover enough ground to make the 2-on-1 situation.
I think they'll try and get Chaplin free there, Jared.
He's just done that now. You're spot on, Root.
Gee, Kane Corns gets the free kick here. Would have been better running away from that and letting someone with a longer kick take it from there.
And Dwayne Nathan Cracker's playing in the amateurs here for Mannington.
So it's good to see him back in action.
Certainly is. Playing footy.
Average kick length for Kane Corns is 23 metres.
Nice stat.
Dwayne.
So you're backing him to not quite get the
I just
distance
had an
here.
article in the Sunday Mail in Adelaide today.
Tell you what, he likes his chances. Gee, gets onto it. It drifts back. He made a good fist of it.
That'll boost his average, that one. That was 50 metres into it.
Too slick.
19 plays 7. You can hear a pin drop here at Patersons Stadium.
Yeah, the inside 50s are 9-4 in this first quarter in favour of Port Adelaide.
Yeah, and Port Adelaide are kicking into a serious win. We know that it gets protected once it gets in the shoulder of that grandstand right of screen, but they've still got to get it up there.
Ballantyne, so a long kick down the middle. Ballantyne did the right thing, but unfortunately for him, De Boer didn't. He let Chaplin play front spot.
Yeah, Chaplin read it really well.
Hartlett, and he sold that one to Mzungu. Long and wide, Ebert. Playing the wide expanse as well at the moment, Port Adelaide. Has the short, Butcher, and he takes the mark in front of Johnson. Duffield too close there, that's 50.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Big call.
Because he faked to play on. I mean, Duffield had cause to take the step toward him as soon as Butcher took the step toward Duffield.
Yeah, that was a very tough call.
Tell you what, though, it's making this very interesting for the home side. All of a sudden, the Dockers should be 18 points down. This one, well, he hasn't missed anything yet this season, Dwayne, so you wouldn't think he'd start with this one.
Not quite a 50, it's a 45. And there you go. After 9 goals straight and kicking one from the impossible angle, John Butcher misses his first shot at goal for the year.
I think it's one of the better Mozzes I've ever put on.
Yeah, it's just about a certainty after you wrap him up then.
Shouldn't the 50 have taken him to the top of the square?
Well, if he's 10 metres shy of 50, yes.
So the umpire got that one wrong. Because the 50 should be not from where the infringement was, but the closer, the man on the mark. Renoff, Sandlands, good grab.
So often those missed shots at goal create an opportunity at the other end of the ground. It's a 2-goal swing, as this one looks like it's going to be.
Pavlich to the running Crowley. Run down by Boak, but gets a handball away just in time. Mzungu back into the corridor, crunched, dropped. Boak. They get out of the bind there, Port Adelaide.
Yeah, that was fantastic pressure by Port Adelaide. The chase from behind often is a branding of what is in the inner mind, I reckon, Rue, of the footballer.
Absolutely, and this is where Port Adelaide need to create something. They just can't go back and bomb it long.
Westhoff does bomb. McPhee does punch into the crowd. Ball in.
Just watching that last kick to Matthew Pavlich, fortunately he took the mark. They're too predictable at the minute, Fremantle. They're just trying to kick it and catch Port Adelaide, but Port Adelaide are setting back in numbers and rebounding quite well, as you saw that last rebound.
Flick down to Hill. Pearce. Barlow. Pavlich at half forward. Carlisle just edged him out of that contest, edged him under the ball.
It's going to be a bit ugly today. Both sides are only playing 3 or 4-man forward lines, and everyone else is up around the ball, so there's going to be a huge amount of numbers just following the ball around.
That could change as fatigue sets in. Pavlich dragged down. Handball out, Ibbotson. Mundy hacks it forward. Drifts across the face. A behind. Woody plays 8. Chaplin entrusted with the kick in.
Move it on.
McCarthy.
Hayden, hold. Hayden, Hayden. Hold your line, please.
Cassisi, so Port Adelaide committed to a side essentially now, and he fumbled it across the boundary line according to the boundary umpire.
No, the player said that. It's your mark. He thought the player yelled out not 15. I didn't call it, so it's your mark. Okay?
And I wonder who said that. Hayden Ballantyne was about 5 metres away from that.
He wouldn't do that.
Smart football.
Move it on, Dom. Play on.
He's fantastic for the game, Hayden Ballantyne, isn't he? Clark close to the boundary line. And the villains of history are often remembered long after the heroes are forgotten. I don't think they'll forget Hayden Ballantyne here for quite a while. Needs to lift his rate perhaps in 2012. Ball in, Clark, Pearce, Mzungu, Hill, Broughton, run down from behind again. Main, Pearce, Ballantyne on cue. And it's Chris Main's ball. It'll be coming back.
Well, they've got to address what's happening to Stephen Hill at stoppages. That's 2 for now. Just playing that defensive sweeping role and taking the ball forward. Both times he's laid it off and shots at goal have ensured.
If Ryan Crowley's shot before was any indication, they'll just about score from here.
Well, Duffield loads up. Driving drop punt to the square. Pavlich up and almost. He's on 496 goals for his career, Matthew Pavlich, so the big 5-0 looming for him. McCarthy with some speed down the outer side. Handballs to his own advantage. Runs out, runs back in and gets it to Westhoff. Very creative. Westhoff inboard to the corridor and Port have the runners. Logan looks up. Straight down the middle he travels. Butcher the target. Terrible kick. Cut off well. Flicked up to Mundy. Well played by Lee Spur. Just game number 2, but he showed some poise there. Johnson to De Boer. Cassisi. Fist toward the line.
Yeah, Logan needed to do better with that forward 50 entry there. They had time and space, and he kicked a floater into Johnny Butcher, so Tommy Logan would not be happy with that.
It's the second game for the year. Tom Logan fighting hard to keep his spot at the moment. Clark flicks that out. Lockie Neal. Is that in the back? Is it holding the ball? It's the latter, according to the umpire.
Actually came 2nd or 3rd in the best and fairest last year, Logan, which was a bit of a surprise.
He can go with you. He can go with you. Play on.
You know you're going to get everything from him in each game that he plays. He'll never win a Brownlow medal, but he'll give you heart and soul.
He rarely comes off without a bandage on his head.
Yeah, Surgeon likewise, to half forward. Young, well, he was called out of that, and Lee Spur takes another saving mark.
Well, it's a good transition, broken down by poor selection of kick, and then not a great contest when it got there across half forward.
Gee, they're very keen to kick short Freo, aren't they? They just want to keep possession of the ball and try and work their way down the ground.
Played 23 minutes opening term. Duffield goes all the way back to McPhee, to the boos from the Fremantle fans now. They wouldn't have heard that here all that often. McFarlane takes off. Now some cheers, and that's a professional free kick. Holds him up. That ball will be on 50 right now.
See, they're just chipping it through the midfield here, Freo.
Neal, McFarlane, Dawson.
Sandlands has pushed forward.
Neal, McPhee. Spur.
This just goes to Sandlands.
Neal, Pavlich with the stretch and maybe within range.
It's a good change. Sandlands went to the goal square. Pav went on the big lead and he got hit up.
Crowd wanted to go for it. He thinks about it and he drives it long. Won't get the distance. Free kick off the ball. High contact against Corns. So his indiscretion gave the last goal away to Fremantle, their only goal of the game so far, and it was to Crowley. And Crowley could well kick another here. Opens the angle up, and it's a lazy start for Fremantle.
2 free kicks against Kane Corns already.
You just had to read that better. Kane Corns, knowing that he had support coming through one-on-one. Just got to wait for your teammates to come in and support you.
Dwayne used the word lazy, Jacko. How's it looking from down there? Because from up here.
They are second to the ball, Jared. Tackle count 15 to Port, 8 to Fremantle.
It's certainly lackadaisical for sure. I mean, you just compare them with the attack on the ball when one of the big names comes to town, Roo, and it hasn't been anywhere near it, not in the same ballpark.
Sandlin's perfect down. Everton couldn't get the kick through the traffic. As Mark Rasciuto told you, there'll be big packs around this. Plenty of players following the ball with only 3- and 4-man forward lines being played by both teams. But as fatigue sets in, often players can't follow the ball as quickly.
And Phillips now running with Hill.
Sandlin's flick down. Corns, Ebert, caught by Mazungu, dropped it. And again, Neil can't break free with it. Another ball up. Port Adelaide win today, can still keep their finals light at the end of the 2012 tunnel and need to win. But a couple of weeks with North Melbourne after this and Gold Coast after that, so they get the party started here today. They could string some together and get back in the hunt. It's a massive game for both clubs, and Port Adelaide have played like this is an early elimination final.
It's clearly up to them, Dwayne. This first 20 minutes, they've been super impressive. They've just got to be consistent through the quarters now.
Yes, it was one bad quarter last week, essentially, that saw Richmond take that game away from them. Bogue had it taken away from him by Hill, heads toward goal, and it's just not running for them.
Well, we've been talking about Stephen Hill now. No one's got the job specifically on him, and they haven't always been accountable with him at stoppages either, but he is one of their most dangerous players around the ball and needs to be looked after.
On a good day, that bounces through. Corns pokes it. Daniel Stewart bumped out of that. Sandlin's
Second grab over the line, but it was a good leap nevertheless.
Sandlin's doesn't argue. Missed the past couple, as we said. Knee injury. Had some injuries recently. Turf toe and knee injury the year before, last year when he had the turf toe. Let's hope he stays fit. Everton to Pavlich.
Nice kick.
Perfection there.
Yeah, nice bit of gap also between where Matthew Pavlich's starting position was and the stoppage. None of the Dockers players got inside, so if they do win it, then Pavlich has got a nice, easy walk-up start and almost makes Carlisle redundant.
Needs to kick this, the skipper. They need a goal big time.
.496 career goals to be the first Docker ever to 500. He needs 4 today. This for his first.
Beautiful.
That is a gem of a kick. And that's the igniter they needed.
It's looking dangerous down there, Matty Pavlich already. And Jacko said pre-game he's looks like he's set for a big game. He could be a little bit too mobile for big Bobby Carlisle, but and he's certainly going to work him around, as we've seen him already pushing him hard up and down the ground. But Bobby Carlisle can't do much when the disposal lands right on his chest. So well done to Matty Pavlich. Good skipper's goal.
Fremantle kicking with a sight breeze for another couple of minutes in this opening term. From the ball up, Hill, Sandlin's, Barlow. They head forward. They could take the lead here and now. Trengo back with a flight. Thump down. Hill. They've got a spark all of a sudden. Barlow, Ibbotson, Barlow. Spur through that. Neil inside 50 and it'll work. Finally some luck. Crowley.
Yeah, the spark's name's Hill, Dwayne. He's been doing the damage in around the stoppages, all forward to the centre. Then the ball goes forward and Crowley's on his own, and that's the sort of stuff that just unravels all good work from up around the ground. So many kilometres been put into building a lead, and yet just a bit of slackness in the brain of a couple of defenders not pushing up on somebody's spare. High ball goes down, he takes a chest mark.
For a 3-point lead from 45, and he sprays it. Just scrapes in for a score.
Yeah, you mentioned Stephen Hill. He's had 7 disposals. 4 of those. He's won 4 clearances himself. So that is unbelievable at this stage of the game.
Yeah, terrible kick in. That was a perfect pass to Hill, and he will
His work rate
Give
at the
them the
minute
lead.
is super, Stephen Hill. He read that off the boot perfectly. Gets a chance to go back, kick goal. Put him in front now.
Big thigh warmers on. He was subbed out of the game last week against the Gold Coast with a cork thigh. Fit enough to play this week. Boy, have they needed him in the last few minutes. Whoops. And he sprays it.
Big sigh of relief from Bobby Carlisle at the back line there. You could hear the blowout from up here.
Now you think Stephen Hill would have a proper routine or technique for goal kicking. He only took a few steps there. He was off balance when he kicked it, and poor technique for an experienced player.
Just important for Port here to play tempo footy, just hold possession for this last couple of minutes, coming leading at quarter time.
Chaplin with a bomb in the Renoff Sandlands Butcher direction. Butcher got front spot. Hartlett, Crumbs. Dangerous handball. Hill tries to set it up again. Surgeon cut it off. Dumped. Roden through some traffic. No one to go to. Broadbent. They've all come down to lend a hand. Port Adelaide's forwards. Boak. Trengove. Turnover. Duffield. Back to Hill. There's two of them out there. Crowley too far out to score. Down to 50 seconds. Clark's in the goal square. And it's a horrendous kick. Scores a level.
I think he had a ping again, didn't he?
He may have had a ping. I think you're probably right, Roo, because that was 25 metres the wrong side to give Clark any advantage.
Sline on the bench. First season at the helm after 5 years at the Saints. 20 playing 20. 40 seconds left. Chaplin. Trengove. Chaplin. Crowd enjoying this. Back to Trengove, taken to the line and taken over.
Crowley's already kicked one goal too, so he's tagging. He's had 5 disposals and 3 shots on goal.
So Matthew Pavlich getting some work done on the bench. Glenn
certainly has,
Jakovich.
Dwayne. He's just come off the right knees in the hands of the doc. It is Dr. Ken Withers just looking at it, so just the structural side of it.
Okay. That would be a huge blow. And looking on, Dylan Roberton with eager eyes, thinking I might be on shortly. From the ball up, Sandlands with seconds remaining. Boak pumps it long, but it'll be coming back. Time enough for Duffield to collect. Broughton needs to hit a target. He floats it up. Chaplin, Trengove get in each other's way. Seconds continue to roll. We're down to 4. Time enough for a crazy free from the ball in.
He's just doing some run-throughs down on the boundary line here. It looks like he's just a bit ginger on it, but they're looking at more on the medial side, I think, the structural movement on the medial side. Going down the race now.
Roden left it behind. Siren sounds. Scores level at quarter time. But if anything, Fremantle kicking with a breeze in the opening term. Hayden Ballantyne in the thick of the action. What else would you expect? Quarter time at Patersons Stadium, round 7 encounter. Crucial game for both Fremantle and Port Adelaide. And it's all square. Fremantle 2-8-20. Port Adelaide 3-2-20.